What's going on, listeners? How you guys doing today? This happens to be our first episode. We got Andrew in the house, Bobby, and yeah, man. So first episode, I'm excited to bring this first episode, especially the topic, especially with graduation of high school, coming around the corner, as well as college. So very appropriate topic for what's going on recently. So, what's your thoughts, Andrew?
Yeah, first episode. This is a milestone. It's May 12th, 2021. Memorable. Yeah, just like you said, high school graduation, college graduation just happened. Kicking it off with, kind of the topic being, the intro to college, right? Is college for me? What a topic to start off with. And especially to kick off this whole series that we're gonna do. I think it just sets the line of what we're trying to discuss and give you our opinions on, so you can take what you want from it, right? To hopefully gain something out of it.
Exactly. Make sure that your next decision or your next move is a calculated one. It's not one that's kind of based in the air, like, oh, I kind of feel like this. Well, there's a lot of feelings going on nowadays, man. It's best to have a thought and a plan and have a actionable plan with it. And you're exactly right, man. This is going to be an exciting one, exciting series. So, the title of today's episode is college worth it? And the biggest question within that is not, is college worth? The biggest question out of that entire question itself is the word it. Now, what do I mean by that? Like, Andrew, I know you and we were chit chatting about this earlier just before we started this, but it's very important to figure out what it is for you, because what it was for me to go through college was different for Andrew, and it's going to be different. It's going to be different for you to make the decision to go to school or whatever decision you make. It's going to be completely different. And my definition of it, to go through college, it was pretty much it was like, I need to find a career, one that's going to pay well in the future. And I figured, I just went through school, and through my process, man, I was watching a whole bunch of entrepreneurship stuff. And Andrew, you know this because we went to the same school together. But for the listeners, if you guys probably don't know this, but I went through school, and within the beginning of my sophomore year, I had dropped out of college because it was changing, and I was in a position where my it was more focused around being an entrepreneur and trying to just make a lot of money, which is good and dandy.
Yeah, ain't nothing wrong with that.
But at that time, I had dropped out of college, and I received a lot of backlash for it. Had a lot of discussions with mentors, family members, and stuff like that. And fortunately, through that process, I had learned about the career field that I'm in currently. And my uncle, pretty much what had happened was, over the holiday period, my uncle and I, we were spending time together, and they're pretty much just telling me, like, it's important for you to go back to school and all of that kind of stuff. Like, I'm sure, if you're a high school graduate listening to this right now, you're probably getting a ton of pressure just to go to college because that's the right thing to do. And that would be the wrong it if you need to figure out the reason of it to go to school. That's the wrong it. I would not advise it just because your family's telling you to do it. No, I would not do it without a serious plan. Long story short, though, to tie it in back to my circumstance, I spoke with my uncle, and I had asked him, he had asked me, because we're having a dialogue. He had asked me, what do you want out of life? And, the fatherly questions, right? And I had just told him, I said, man, I want to get rich. Like, I want to make money. And he said, well, you got to learn a skill. He said, if you want to do that, you need to be able to sell a skill, whatever it is. And I said, okay, well, if I went to college, I mean, I went to school at the beginning for entrepreneurship. Anybody can do that, right? And pretty much he had told me, he said, like, I had to ask him, I said, I have an interest in finance. And he said, that's a good start. And he went into further, he stated that, I don't know how we got to this point in the conversation. Actually, it was probably because our professor within the program of risk management and insurance, she had actually came in within my freshman year of the classes. She came and presented in the class and taught us, this industry, they need young people to join. And, we have an extremely highly successful employment rate after college. So I mentioned that to my uncle, and he said, yeah, everybody I know in insurance, they've done extremely well for themselves. So that was my it, though, like, as a listener. And Drew's going to let you know about, his it and what you need to be thinking in regards to the it. But that was my it. I need a job and I need to make money. I can't live without it. Is that similar to yours?
Yeah, yeah. If I can't follow up with that, I mean, imagine if you didn't drop out, and imagine if you continued through what you thought it was. Like, how do you even think that? What position would you even be in?
Right.
Like where do you think you wouldn't be here in this position right now? Obviously, and there's nothing wrong with changing that because it's actually applaudable that you recognized it and did something about it. Not necessarily the action to drop out, but just the fact that, okay, you did drop out, then you got right back into it.
Right.
Like, not everyone's going to get that it on the first try either. That's if you did, go play the lottery, congrats.
Yeah.
Like, let me know the winning numbers, but yeah, like, kind of my it. I don't really think I figured out my it until after I got into college. So kind of like reactively, I think I was exactly pressured, it was like, all right, you graduated high school. Now what are you going to do? And now it's like, oh, you going to college? It's almost like the sense where, when you don't know what your it is and you aren't doing it for yourself, you're doing it because everyone makes you feel bad about it, or they're pressuring you because that's what everyone else is doing, right? You're either hopping on the bandwagon or you're listening to other people instead of listening to yourself and doing it for yourself. So that's what I did. Luckily, I my freshman year, I discovered my it, and I rolled with it, and, it took me 5 years. I worked my way through college and, successful, I think I can say. But if I had figured my it, and I even took a year off after high school before I went to college as well, right? To try to really figure out my it. And, I was just like, I'm just going to do it. My freshman year, I enrolled in the normal gen ed courses, the normal stuff. And, luckily for me, one of them was intro to networking. And I was like, wow, everything runs off ones and zeros. This is absolutely insane to me. I want to learn more. And, this is IT, right? And that's where I'm at. But yeah, I mean, figuring out that I mean, if you can really sit there and ask yourself, like, what is my purpose? What do I enjoy doing? And not only what do I enjoy doing, what do I enjoy doing that I can also get paid for?
Get paid for, that's right. I'm telling
you. That's what it comes down to,
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. It's like, dude, the end goal is turning your hobby into a, monetization or, some kind of form of, income coming in, right? Cash flow. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that you should take into consideration there.
Exactly.
I mean, what were some of the things that helped you discover your it, Bobby?
Reading. I never had a habit of reading in high school, but I don't, freshman year, I got into the habit. I picked up a Mark Cuban book. I think it's called How to Win in the Sport of Business. And once I read that, I mean, it was a short, easy book. So it was, something quick that I could actually, you go from one cover to the other. which I had never done previously in my life. I was just, party kid in high school and all that kind of stuff, right? I mean, we did it together and all that kind of stuff. So, but man, just like partying in high school, and then I did that. I picked up that book, read it from front to back, and then just started reading book after book after book after book. And I said, the importance of reading. It's, I was learning so much more in the books I was reading than I was actually learning in the classes. And you were smart for taking the gen ed courses, like through like, community college, because I mean, that's something I never even thought about. I should have done that myself, just to kind of get that out of the way, and to be smarter about it, and then move from there. Like if I did really good in those classes, could have gone to this school, that school, whatever, right? But yeah, reading helped me find my it. Um, and I'm sure, like you were saying, like taking that year off in that time period within your first year, that's kind of how you found it. So if you happen to be a high schooler, I would definitely probably take the same steps Andrew took. If you don't know what it is right now for you, go ahead and take some time off to yourself and really think about it. But don't waste your time, right? Like Andrew, I'm sure you did not waste your time in trying to figure this it thing out, though. All
No,
right.
no, not at all. I mean, I wish I knew sooner. I mean, now that I know, if you would have told me as a high schooler that junior year depicts everything, then it would have been totally different, right? Junior
Right.
year is what depicts everything, because that's when you start submitting your college applications. Junior year. They don't care about your senior year until you get your final transcript and you send it off to the colleges that you narrowed down, right? That you get accepted to, So I mean, yeah, especially if you're in high school, like, yeah, junior year is it, like if it's time to crank it out or discover your it. And junior year ironically happens to be the hardest. I think
Yeah.
junior year was comparatively just as hard as college classes, So I
Yeah.
mean, if you were able to get through a course and you thought it was interesting and you really developed a passion, right, or an interest for it, why not, right? There's nothing wrong with making a
Right.
list of stuff and then going down it, right? You don't even have to discover it, but yeah, I mean, take your gen ed courses, right? And whether you're doing it at a community college or a university, right? Either way, it's still the same thing. Me personally, I wish I would have went to community college. One, cheaper. Two, usually easier. And three, you get a lot more one-on-one with the professor who is the expert in the field, because that's where they're teaching the class.
Yeah. Wait, you didn't go to COA for a year?
I did not. I was just
You didn't?
working.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha. I thought you had went to COA for a year, then
I
went
wish.
over to
I wish.
ECU.
Yeah, a COA is a community college for those that don't know,
Yeah.
local to us. But I wish I did. I wish I would have taken that initiative to help, kind of speedline discovering my it, but I didn't know it, and I was trying to figure it out while trying to prepare financially for college.
For
Uh,
college, right.
yeah, and there's nothing
Absolutely.
wrong with either of those paths either. But yeah, something to definitely think about. The only thing that I would say is the difference between a community college and university is cost, which is immensely different. Like
Yeah.
I can't even imagine. I think for a community college, the average around like what, $800 a semester, where a university, depending, is probably 8 or 9 times that.
I mean, look, community college might be free within the next year. I mean, the current presidential office is pursuing that. So, I mean, that'll be another topic of discussion too.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
definitely keep an ear out for that one, because that's going to tie into actually, I think that topic actually ties in well with this one. Is college worth it? So, but we'll save that information for another one, for the next one. But yeah, no, you're exactly right, my man, for real. So in regards to that, yeah, like right now, university, the cost of university is so incredibly high right now. And in my notes, I wanted to go ahead and give you guys some stats if you're listening to the podcast or watching this on YouTube. According to Investopedia, the average student debt right now, as of within 2020, was $37,500, and according to the bureau, what's that?
I said, sheesh.
Yeah, sheesh, for real, 37,500. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do with 37,500.
There is.
Instead of just getting a piece of paper to hang up on a wall. But if you know how to work, if you use those 4 years or however many years to your advantage, then it can, that's going to be a small payment for the future that you can develop for yourself if you do college correctly. And also with, off the Bureau of Labor Statistics website, they state in August 2019 that 62.5% of people aged 25 and over were employed. The employment population ratio among those with less than a high school education was 44.6%, while those with at least a bachelor's degree had an employment population ratio of 72.3%. So I guess, having a college degree, now that study doesn't go into the specifics of, did you go to Ivy League school? Did you go to community college or not? It didn't really focus on that. But, coming from me and coming like what you said earlier, like one of the things I wish I would have done was gone to community college for the first 2 years. If I could have dragged that out to 3 years, I would have totally done that. And then just spend the last year at university.
Right. I mean, that's an interesting conversation to have, though, because think about it, right? So there's a statistic from Indeed.com for 2021. They just released it in February, where the average salary in the United States of America of a college graduate getting an entry-level job across the industry is $50,000. Right?
50,000.
50,000. So if we're going to go off your statistics, and you're $37,500 in debt, and you're getting a job right out of college that's already paying you $50,000, is that worth it to you? Some people might say yeah. Some people might say no. Some people are going to be set back. Some people are like, the job that I'm going to get after a year or two, I'm going to double that salary.
Yeah.
So it depends, right? And that's when you're discovering your it, you should take these things into consideration. Me personally, I'm in IT, right? So specifically looking at IT, right? The same kind of statistics, engineering would be, I would consider that IT or computer science is 69,188, right? The highest, right? IT and engineering are popping right now versus, the normal standard of degrees that you'd see across universities, which is either communications or business. Business is 57,657 and communications is 52,56, right? $52,056. So, it depends. And that's for people that did get a job right out of college within a 6-month period. Because if you take out loans, you have a 6-month payback period. So keep that in mind. You get 6 months to, have that last, like, all right,
The coast, yeah.
Find a
Uncle
job,
Sam's gonna give you
like
6 months to coast,
yeah,
but he wants you to work.
The feds are gonna be like, hey, look, all right, you got 6 months, get a job. If not, you gotta start paying me back, right? That cap and paper doesn't come free, unfortunately. Now it does come a little cheaper with community college and that kind of stuff, but I mean, it depends, And, you get FAFSA and, I think that's a whole nother conversation. And, you get grants, apply for scholarships. I cannot stress enough how helpful scholarships are.
Get on that scholarship grind as quickly as possible.
Literally
Not
everywhere.
Even get on that scholarship grind.
Yes, it may take an hour to fill out a scholarship that may only be for $500 for a semester, but you have no idea how much that helps out in the long run. It is so worth it. So absolutely worth it. That's
every penny too.
That's the quickest $500 you have ever made in an hour, if you think about it. Okay. If you have made more money than that in an hour, you probably don't need to go to college because you've got it figured out. right? Hopefully.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, that's just what it comes down to, you know. Um, it's expensive, right? I mean, I think the whole transition now too is that if you would have told me, or if you asked your grandparents or your parents that were all born before 1990, hey, what should I do? Right? They say, go to college, go get a 9 to 5. That'll set you up for what the American life dream is, right? Where you have a house, you find a wife, you have 2 kids, and you're set, right?
Yeah.
That's not possible anymore in this day and age. That's not sustainable at all. You know?
Exactly. I was about to say, with everything going on within, like, especially like making 52K, or what is it, 50K is the mean of a college grad. That's off of what, a bachelor's degree, right?
A bachelor's degree, and that's such an important thing to point out there, is that it's a bachelor's degree. A
Mhm.
bachelor's degree then was the holy grail. You were a
Yeah,
college graduate. Now it is almost like it is expected, and it is like your high school GED, right? It's almost
exactly.
that a master's is now replacing the bachelor's.
Dude, that's funny that you state that, because literally within the Bureau of Labor Statistics website, within their chart data, one of the things that I noticed and wanted to point out was that back in January 2005, what is it? Employment population ratio of people aged 25 years and over by educational attainment. So January 2005, bachelor's degree and higher, they had an employment ratio of 76.3%. Now we fast forward all the way to August 2019. That's down to 72.3%. So a decrease of 4.1%. Same degree. I mean, but a drop in employment ratio.
Yep. And, I think
And
that just goes back to overly exaggerated qualifications for jobs that shouldn't have it at such a low median out of college. That goes to the supply demand. It all comes back to figuring out your it, right?
yeah, I thank you for tying it back to that, because
Like,
that's what I was gonna say. Because like that study doesn't, those numbers don't reflect, people that are going to college and they don't figure their it out, so they just go ahead and get that, for example, the communications degree, but they don't do the networking, they don't do any of the hard work that you got to do in college to make sure when you get out, you got a launch pad to go off of. So I mean, it's got to tie back into your it, most certainly. I feel like that number changed because a lot of people back in 2005, they're going to college, they knew what they wanted to do, and so they did it, and they got degrees that actually have a career path lined up for them after college. And nowadays, people just go to college for the sake of going to college because they want to be quote unquote educated person. Or what's most likely happening is that they're getting so much pressure from society, between their family, their friends, all their friends are going to college. I need to go to college. Mom and dad's telling me to go to college. So I've listened to mom and dad so far. Why not keep going? Right.
yeah,
And
right.
nothing's wrong with that, absolute respect. I did the same, but you got to spin it. That's the whole thing. Spin that into your it. Like, if you're going to go to college, what are you doing it for? So, and I mean, don't think that money's not important. It would be pointless for you to go $37,500 in debt and not have a spring pad for you lined up once you get out of college to get that off of your back. Um, I know everybody's hoping for student loan forgiveness and all that kind of stuff right now. That's a big political discussion, but don't bank on it. I mean, that's a bad
Nothing is
idea to
promised.
bank on,
Nothing.
government to fix that for you. Um, there's a reason why it's so expensive nowadays, you know, and they're expecting to collect that money in the future. So definitely figure that it out though, so you can have that spring pad to pay it back. And yeah,
Yeah. I mean, keep in mind, student loan debt, that don't just disappear, right? If
No.
something happens, it's going
Can
down to your family. It's gonna get paid back no matter what, right?
yeah,
It's not erasable. There's there's no pencil. There's no pencil eraser. But you know, I think we can narrow it down to 4 different kinds of people that figure out their it and don't figure out their it and go to college, right? The one is the one that you touched on, where I feel pressure. I'm being told, I'm being forced to go to college. I go to college, I get a communications or business degree. I'm not happy. I have no passion. I graduate, but now what?
right.
Now what? What do I do? I'm in all this debt. I'm forced to do. What are you supposed to do? Go back to these same people and ask, okay, now what? They're like, well, I don't know.
Yeah,
You were listening to them instead of listening to yourself, right?
exactly.
And again, there's nothing wrong with that, but hopefully along that path or, some way you figure it out, right? You figure out your it, right? Because, some people do need that little extra push, like, hey, go to college, right? Get a good job, that job security. And then there's 2, right? I think number 2 would be that there's people that go to college because they have mommy, daddy money. They don't even have
Yeah,
to take out loans. They
yeah,
don't take advantage of the opportunities. They don't take advantage of the networking. They go for the complete social aspect of it, where they may totally advance in their own discovery of themselves, right? Because college is not only for learning. You also figure out a lot about yourself.
yeah.
A lot.
Well, I mean, learning in the aspect of yourself. Yeah,
Yeah, like just self-discovery, like, being on your own, especially out of high school, like, oh my gosh, my mom didn't do my laundry. What do I do, right? Like it's there's no pampering, which is a life shock for, most people that are used to that. And they completely just waste it. They have a great time and they make nothing of it. And likely they either go back home or they go back into their mommy and daddy's business, which they probably could have done in the first place.
exactly. Didn't need the college degree to do that in the first place.
None of that.
Nope.
And then I think there's number 3, right? Where, you have those people that go to college, they do what they're supposed to do. They think they have an idea of what their it is, but they're not 100% of it. They get real complacent and they just go with the flow. They graduate and they get a pretty average job, which is totally okay, a 9 to 5, and they are complacent with that. They are fine, and they go and follow the path of working a 9 to 5, slowly moving up the corporate chain every once in a while. They buy a house, have a family, and that's it. And that's completely okay as well. There is
Yeah,
absolutely nothing wrong with that.
not at all. As
But
long as
then,
that's what you're planning for. Like if that's part of your plan,
right, that's fine. That's
you know,
job security 101,
yep,
and that's what a lot of people nowadays want, you know.
absolutely. Yeah, they just want
Um,
simplicity because simplicity can create happiness, you
exactly,
know, or it can,
exactly.
So
But then I think there's number 4, and number 4, I think I can say is where Bobby and I fall in line, and where I hope all of you fall in line too, is that you either discover your it before college, you discover your it right into college, or you discover your it through trial and error in college, and you make that corrective action to finish out accomplishing your it. And that means that every university has so many opportunities there. There's for the university that Bobby and I attended, there was a career center. That career center never had a line. That career center was always empty. You could walk into there and apply for internships and jobs and likely get a call or an email the very next week because of the
exactly.
alumni connections that it had. But no one was taking advantage of those opportunities. Out of our, I would say, large friend group, every single career fair, right? And it doesn't matter if you went to college for 4 or 5 years. There's a mixture here of people that did. I think it's pretty hard to get a 4-year degree unless you take summer classes, to be honest, with how many credits it takes to get a bachelor degree now. So I think 5 years is also becoming more of the average.
Yeah.
Which is completely okay as well. It doesn't matter as long as you get it, right? Especially if you're working
Uh,
your way through, you have other adventures, opportunities. But myself, Bobby, and one other of our friends, we went to the career fair every single year. And ironically, us three are the ones that have just absolutely amazing jobs that were guaranteed to us before we even
before
graduated
graduating.
college. I can
Yeah.
even say a couple months entering into senior year, getting a
Yep.
job offer and accepting that job offer more than 9 months out.
I was about to say, yeah, I think I mean, you're already working in your field through college, to line that up. And for me, I mean, to get into, within the insurance industry, I think I got an offer literally right at the end of my junior year. So I think I was still a junior, like technically speaking, was a junior when I had gotten that offer. But you're exactly right. Just like use the resources that you got, and like to be in that fourth category, you're exactly right. Trial and error is so important, but that only comes through experimentation, like in intentional experimentation, meaning like, now it's not like Andrew and I were sitting there like, oh, I don't like this, so I'm not going to do this. Let me just float to the next thing because, this got hard and I just decided to quit. That's not what happened. We would state like, okay, we're going to pick this one. We're going to drill through it, figure out why we would like it. For example, why did I like insurance? You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, I've always been like a relationship and trying to meet people kind of person. Love to go to meet new people and stuff like that. You've always been good with math, so it makes sense for you to pick up on numerical code and stuff like that within networking. And I stated, okay, I wanted to do the entrepreneurship thing at first, and then I gave that a good shot. I had really good grades when I was going through that. Um, but I just realized like, hey, it's not necessarily needed, to have an entrepreneurship degree in order to be a successful entrepreneur. Actually, like tons of very successful entrepreneurs are college and high school dropouts. So that I was like, okay, don't need to do this in order to be that. But after having that conversation with my uncle and him having that explanation to me about insurance, just created that interest, man. Like it created like, I don't know how to explain it, but it must have been like the same kind of interest that Thomas Edison had with lightning.
Dude.
He hears about that, understands lightning, and he sees like, how do I turn this into an electrical current that can be controlled and used within like the average household, so we don't have to light candles or anything like that anymore. And that's why I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, I hear insurance, and I'm sitting there thinking our professor came to class and told us all that stuff. He tells me the same thing. It's just like, the 0 and the 1 for you, like within networking, it's like there's a 0, there's a 1. There's got to be some type of a code here. So I just like said, okay, I'm going to experiment with this. I'm going to go ahead and test this thing out. So I took the first class. I'm like, all right, kind of cool. I like it. Fortunately, the topics are not that fun. It's kind of like you're learning about policies and stuff like that. And actually, no, the first course is more about the overview of insurance and like its importance within society. And that was actually really cool. That actually like got me hooked on it.
I mean, it set the light bulb off, right? Thomas
Yeah,
Edison, all that kind of stuff. That's what it was. You started developing interest, which turned into a passion,
right.
right?
Exactly.
You found your it,
Yep. And that only comes through like, hey, I'm not just gonna quit this or quit entrepreneurship because like, hey, it's tough, or hey, I don't feel passion. I wouldn't even say like passion is that important for within your it. I think like just a high degree of interest in it. Like if you can keep learning more and more and more and more and more about something, if you have that hunger to learn more about something, then that's more important than like passion. Because I mean, you and I mean, I'm more passionate about fishing in my time than I am about like most things. Like I'd much rather be out fishing, dude. Like I'd much rather be out on a boat, like trying to catch some nice fish. But my interest though within my career field and my interest within my college classes, that's what pushed me through it. It's like I just had that crazy interest to know a little bit more about this. So
I mean, I can't tell you how many people from my classes that I knew transferred to the degree that I was in, or just IT or engineering, their junior or senior year, because they were just going through college and they didn't figure out their it, and they didn't do it until they took a class in IT or engineering, and they're like, this is it.
that's
They
it,
literally
right?
transferred. I know people that, right, the $50,000, right, average, they're making double of that out of college because they acted on knowing that this is their it. And I know people that transferred from art majors, right, communication, they're a biomedical, right, completely just industry change over, right? And what
Yeah.
they're doing now is just insane, right? It's just absolutely crazy. I mean, it's setting that light bulb off. Yeah. I mean, I think what your uncle was saying is that it's to find your skill, right? I think that's such an important term to use it, right? It's not to find your job, not to find what you think you're going to do for the rest of your life, because you're probably not going to be doing this for the rest of your life, even though if you do,
Right.
okay. I think for the number threes, doing it for the rest of your life, that's okay. The number fours, this is a good way to start off. This is a good way to pay back that debt if you have any, get on your feet, and just keep the gears rolling. I mean, the difference between a 3 and 4, tell me, in my graduating class of 2019, we had 6,000 graduates from one university that I went to, and we were all coming out of that university with a piece of paper that all means the same thing. If all 6,000 of us go and apply for the same job, what is the difference between any of us?
If we're looking by paper alone, nothing.
Nothing.
No.
That's why the number fours, they go and they get internships, right? They get that experience. They talk to these people. If I'm looking at 20 resumes and one of them has experience or an internship and 19 of them don't, that's an automatic give me, right?
Yep.
That's it. There's no questions about it.
Yeah, and you got to think of it like an employer. I mean, like if you got a bunch of college kids that are applying to you, and their resumes pretty much just all kind of look similar. The only difference is between one or the other is a GPA number, which you're not going to be hired based off of a GPA number. I mean, there's news for you. Yeah, some companies are going to want a good GPA number for sure. And all that represents is that you're using your time in college wisely. But you can counter that GPA number. I promise you right now, what Andrew is saying, you can counter your GPA number with if you're using your time in college with, extracurricular activities. And you can list those out, volunteer work, leadership positions within clubs, internships, and other things of that sort, meaning you're using your time, your extracurricular time at university for more than just like getting drunk on Thirsty Thursdays and like everything else. Like, I mean, if you're using your time wisely, then that's going to stand out on your resume, and that's going to help you a lot more than just having a good GPA number. Because if everybody that, within that 6,000 group that you're talking about, Andrew, if all they got is nothing on the piece of paper, but there's that one person that has all their extracurriculars on it, that's going to help them stand out, because that means that they're trying to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? Like they're trying to figure it out for themselves. So definitely do that. And if you're a high schooler listening to this, to tie it kind of back in the beginning, if you don't know if you want to go to college yet or not, my personal advice is take the same path Andrew did. Because like if you don't want to just go spend money for the sake of spending money without having some kind of like idea. I mean, it's important to have an idea before you go to college, because it costs too much now. One semester it costs way too much. Now, if you can do it like without having to draw the loans that are necessary for college, then do it, most certainly. But I mean, if you don't have a general idea of what you kind of want to have within, your future, then just take a year off. Go work a blue
Nothing
collar
wrong
job.
with
Go
that.
work a
Yeah,
trade job. Trade jobs are
exactly.
killing it.
Trade jobs are killing it. Also, college is not always the go-to, right?
Yeah.
There is nothing wrong with going to a trade school and working that kind of field and that kind of life. We have friends, Bobby and I, that are in a trade. They went to trade school and they are making, if not as much as us, probably more, right?
Yeah.
Because they put in that work. While we were sitting in a classroom down, taking notes and doing tests, they were out there working with their hands, getting the experience they needed and taking classes.
Yeah. That's the
Both are
biggest
fine.
difference.
We're both in an amazing position, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing
That's
wrong
the
with
biggest difference with trade school and university is right from the jump in trade school. You don't have to waste 2 years learning things like trying to figure out your it. It's almost like, hey, you jump in. All right, here's the skill we're going to teach you. Whatever it may be. If it's auto technician, auto mechanic, then you jump in and they're like, okay, this is how I mean, I'm not very auto savvy, but I'm sure they teach you more than just how to pop the hood of a car.
This is how you change a tire. If this is your it, you got it.
That's right. But that's the difference. And that's, I think, trade school. If you don't know if you want to go to college or not, trade school is probably the best route to go. I'm not even kidding. I mean, there's so many people right now that are hiring people that have those blue collar skills. And shoot, you can take up so many different trades and not spend anywhere that's near the same amount of money that you would at a university getting a bachelor degree.
Yeah, I
So
mean, both paths too, like both paths. I think, we're in the 21st century. This is 2021. There's so many people that are also creating their own path,
yeah,
right? There are sole proprietors. There are entrepreneurs, right? People that are just getting LLCs, doing their own, bringing their ideas to life, right? But you have to start somewhere. You have to find that it. You cannot do that without discovering your it, right? And there's two things I want to touch on. Bobby, remind me, the second one is management, right? So in 2020, if you look at Western Michigan University, Monster.com, and NACE, which is a National Association government website, right? There are the top 7 things that employers are looking for college graduates to have right out of college. That's problem-solving skills, ability to work in a team, strong work ethic, analytical skills, written communication skills, leadership skills, verbal skills. Can you learn that in class? You can get taught that. I took a management class because I have a business administration minor. You cannot teach someone to be a good manager.
no,
You can't. You can give them the tools. You can give them the trial and errors that other people have gone through for you to try to adapt into your management role. The only way you become a good manager is through experience. And that's
right.
what is going to give you that right there. That's the difference between a 3 and a 4. Right
Yep.
there.
Go out and experiment. Exactly what it ties back into. Get out there and experiment.
And at the same time, I mean, you may think that you want to go into a management role. You may think that, wow, these classes are great. I love them. I think this is my it. Go do an internship. You may get out there.
Yes,
you
that's
may
a great
get out into the role, and you may be in a management role, and you're like, holy moly, this sucks.
Yeah.
This is not what I thought it was going to be, right? And that is amazing. That is such an amazing position to be in because you, one, went out there and tried it, and you know what you now like and what you don't like. And 2, okay, you thought that's what you wanted to do, and now it's not, but that always leads into something else. Maybe I don't want to be a manager, but maybe I want to do XYZ, which is something similar, but kind of a different industry. you know?
Process of
Maybe,
elimination.
yeah, maybe I want to do, or maybe I still like management, but maybe I want to do, industrial management versus, kind of like business management, right? Maybe I don't want to be so much customer facing, but maybe I want to, be in the supply chain, right? That kind of management, So it's just opens doors. It gives, it's that solidification, right? Kind of affirmation in a way.
That's right. Yeah, that's absolutely right. It gives you the affirmation and things you don't want to know just by through the process of elimination, by experimenting. I mean, that's the biggest thing is when you're in college, go and experiment. When you're graduating school, guess what? If you're graduating high school, now's the time for you to put on your science cap, put on your safety goggles, put on the gloves, no beer bug, but like definitely get your experiment on. Get it on, man. Like
Yeah.
seriously, get out there, start experimenting with stuff, man. And
Discover your it.
that's going to help you find your it. That's the most important thing is experimentation helps you find your it. And that's the most important thing. So if you're going to go to college, biggest piece of advice, if you don't know your it, at least for me, I kind of had an idea of what I wanted after college. I knew the lifestyle, like the life that I kind of wanted to have. I just needed to find things that would help me get there. So, wanting to make money, that's super important. It's always been important to me, as it's been important to you, Andrew, and finding the right careers that are going to do that. I mean, not saying like money should be the focus of everything, but it's because it's really not. But I mean, it's important too. I'm not going to say you shouldn't downplay and be like, oh, money's not happiness. Yeah, but I mean, I don't look at my doorknob and say, that's not a dog. It's a horrible comparison. Horrible comparison. Very, very bad.
I mean, I think that comes back, right? It's like once you find your it, okay, I found my it. What do I want to get out of it?
Get out of it. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I know this is what I want to do, but if I go to a university, what is that going to do for me?
Right.
Like maybe I don't need to go to a university. Maybe all I need is an associate's, right? I can do 2 years. I can do 18 months. I can do a trade program for 9 months, right? And I'm out there in the industry doing my it.
Yeah.
I think that there's just so many questions, right? It's like, okay, find your it, discover your it. Now, university wise, right? How is a university going to help me? There are distinct differences. Every university has its own thing to help you get your it, right? To help you accomplish your it or send you off into the adult life, right? Because a college is, kind of pre-adult to where, okay, this is your it, here's your paper, go get it. Pays back in 6 months, right?
Right. Yeah, that's right. I want that bag. Give me my bag.
Go get your it so you can't pay us back. Yeah. So, I mean, if you think about it, you look at Ivy League schools, right? Like, or really, really popular schools that we all know cost a ton of money, right? Duke, Harvard, that kind of stuff, really, really, prestigious schools, Clemson, Syracuse, that, cost more than $60,000 a semester. If you think about it, you're not really going to those schools to necessarily learn. It's not like their curriculum is that much better than, one of the, I would say, medium or lower tier schools, but the opportunity, the networking, everything that they present you with, that is what it's worth. That is what it's about. These are all the things that can aid you in your post-college life that are just going to make the world of a difference. And all that kind of stuff you need to take into consideration,
Absolutely. That has to be part of your your experimentation process. It has to be. Where are you going? What are you doing it for? And then do like Andrew said, figure out the costs and benefits between one or the other in terms of option A and option B. What are the pros of going to community college compared to a university? Well, what's the pros of going to a university compared to a community college? One's cheaper than the other. One probably has a larger alumni network than the other.
I think this is going to be a whole nother podcast, a whole nother discussion, a whole nother episode, right? Universities, types of universities, and community colleges. Because I mean, you could break it down. It's in-state, out-of-state tuition, right? What kind of scholarships, right? What kind of Pell grants, state grants, right? The alumni network, right? How many credits does it take to get this degree, right? Can I dual degree with the same amount of credits at this university than I can that? What does it make a difference if I have a minor or not?
Right.
I think that'll definitely be another episode. So, keep your eyes out for that one. I think that one probably could be coming up soon.
Oh yeah, most certainly. We're definitely have plenty. We're going to have that one in another podcast for you guys as well. Most certainly. We're going to break it down nuance by nuance because he was touching on different aspects, I mean, we could even talk about what I think we'll do. We'll have a discussion afterwards, Andrew, but what state should you go to for school? Well, that depends on your ed. What are you trying to be? What do you want to do? What state has the right schools for that type of study? Take it into consideration. Now, everybody sits there and says, oh, I need to figure all this out, as I'm turning 18. No.
I wish we did.
I know, right? I wish we did. Shoot, we don't even have it all figured out to this day.
Nope.
But it's like we both know, like, hey, we're on the path of where we want to be going.
Yeah,
that's the most important thing.
Yep.
And it's almost like how would you call it? It's almost like a puzzle, or like trying to find treasure. And every piece of the puzzle that you get, or a piece to the map, leads you to the next piece, right? So it's like, okay, you start off at the island, and it's going to take you to another island. You think the treasure's at that island, right? Or you could assume that would be. Guess what? That piece of the map just took you to another piece of the map, and it's like, okay, you got to from island A, your starting point, to island B, which island B now has the second piece to get you to island C. And then island C will take you to D, and then blah, 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 blah. So that's kind of what it's like. But always have the next step planned out. It's essentially the key to this. And, to help you get to that next island piece, it's good to know your it. What are you doing it for? What is your it from it? What do you want from it?
Right.
I mean, those are good questions to ask. What do you want from it? What is the importance of it? Where can I get it? Figure those kind of questions out. And definitely act on it. Don't waste time on it. I mean,
yep. Time is of the essence. I mean, think about it. If you don't figure out your it, you're going to be sitting there wondering what if.
When you're 50 years old, man, and right. We do not want you guys to be that old trying to
what if I did this? What if I figured this out when I was 18? What if I went through college and graduated, and now this degree I don't even care about because I should have been doing this? Right? Yes. What ifs will eat you alive? And this is we graduated how long ago? 3-4 years? Gosh, 3-4 years. But and we're just figuring this stuff out, right? So I mean, hopefully you guys are gaining something from this. Of course, if there's any questions or you want us to elaborate more on it, comment, ask us, whatever it may be. More than happy to answer questions and do that. But it all comes back down to that, because if not, it's a bunch of what ifs. Time is of the essence. Time. I cannot tell you, when they say college is the best years of your life and they go by like that. I was there for 5 years and it felt like 2 months.
Yeah.
It just flew by. And you cannot understand that until you go through it.
You got to be busy in college, though. I promise you, you can't just
That's
be
why.
drinking
That's
all the
why,
time.
though.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's why. That's why I felt like it was 2 months. It was boom, 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 boom.
literally. Now, we're not saying you can't go out and party. We did plenty of that. Like, that's fun. Trust me, you don't want to necessarily give up that experience either. There's a lot to learn from it, but you got to be on your it. Start experimenting. Like what Andrew was saying, like, get out to those career fields. Start talking to your professors. Go see your professors in their office hours. Goodness gracious. I don't know how many students that do not do that. And you get so many benefits from that.
So many.
Absolutely so many.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
but yeah, definitely like Andrew said too, go ahead, hit that like button and leave a comment if you guys do have any questions. Good job, Andrew, for throwing that in there. I haven't even thought about that yet. This has been a good topic so far. So, but if you got questions, definitely throw a comment in there, and we'll definitely be reaching out to you guys and seeing what we can do to provide you guys the advice that you need.
Yeah.
Have you get through that.
Like, share, subscribe, comment, give us positive criticism, what you liked about this, what you didn't like about this, right? It's the first episode, so feedback's always great. And yeah, just, I hope, someone gains something out of this. The whole point. I don't care if this gets 10 listens or 10 likes or 1,000 listens or 1,000 likes. If it mattered that one person got something out of this, sick.
That's right.
That's the whole point of why we're doing this.
Exactly. We don't want you guys to get to 50 to 60 and be wondering what if, when all you had to figure out was like, what's my it? What am I trying to get from it?
Yep, because that little tiny decision that you may make when you are 18 years old or in your early 20s could make such a large impact of whether you retire at 65 or 45.
45, that's right. Or even sooner.
And that's
with the way things are going.
So long term.
Yep.
That these little tiny minuscule decisions that you can't even fathom right now really do make that big of a difference.
That's right. They certainly do. So yeah, definitely leave a comment, leave a like. Andrew and I, we're going to be giving you guys some more content, some more episodes. We may even tie in the next episode into a little bit more onto this topic. But most important thing is college worth it? Well, what is it for you? It can't be worth anything if you don't know what your it is. What would you do college for? To get a good job after college? Well, what's the question then would be, what's the job I want? That's your it. If you're going to college to get a good job, that's your it. If you're going to college to create a network of friends, that's your it. How are you going to do that? Joining fraternities, sororities, business clubs. If you're going to college to, follow the rules of your parents, no shame in that, but make a spin from it. Just because your parents want you to go, that's honorable, but turn it into your goal now. Well, if I go to college, this is what I want from college. And get your it from college, from trade school, whatever you do. Know what the it that you want from it.
Yep.
But yeah.
It. And, I think that's it. Find your it, thanks everyone for, listening. Much appreciated. Again, like, share, subscribe. Congrats to all the graduates, and find your it.
And congratulations. That's right. Hope you guys go out there and crush your its and, make a difference in society. That's what it's all about. And thank you guys for tuning into Alumni Talk. Most certainly. Truly appreciate it. And we'll do what we can to help you guys out as much as we can along the way. So like Andrew said, like, subscribe, comment, and share with a friend that's just now graduating.
Yep. And look forward to more podcasts and more episodes from Alumni Talk.
That's right. Have a good one, you guys.
Take care.